Is it? Yeah.
All right.
That was beautiful. Very hot.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us to have this very important conversation regarding a resolution that's been put forth. With the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, we have witnessed millions of people take the fight for reproductive rights to the streets to protest and challenge the archaic ruling that attacks the autonomy over one's body. As soon as the decision to overturn Roe was made public, our District 5 team began drafting a resolution to support safeguarding San Antonians who may need access to abortion. Because we have a responsibility to protect our residents from any violation of their protected human rights and their free exercise thereof. A duty to stand up against the draconian Supreme Court ruling, especially in a state like Texas, where trigger laws will go into effect. Trigger laws where an individual seeking access to health care can be fined, sentenced up to 99 years in prison, looking at a potential felony with no exceptions for rape or incest. And we're already learning about the unfortunate stories in different states that have similar trigger laws as Texas, where children, a 10-year-old child in Ohio, a rape victim needing to seek access to health care, had to travel to Indiana to ensure that they can safely access health care. That is unjust. And we are ready and understand that access to health care is a human right, and that includes access to safe abortion. The Bexar County Sheriff has made it clear that this shouldn't be a priority for their department, and the DA has also accurately stated that there is no justice in prosecuting people for their own medical decisions. Bexar County and the city of San Antonio are bucking the notion that the entirety of Texas wants to limit access to reproductive health care. On the local level, we must meet this moment with the same level that we saw from our citizens in the streets. San Antonians took it to the streets to rightfully express their opposition to this ruling. San Antonians emailed their city council members calling for what we've put forth in this resolution. A resolution that condemns any action intended to repeal the fundamental liberties of its people and affirms its commitment to protecting the rights of its residents to make reproductive health decisions, including abortion care, for themselves, and ensure that the city does not spend money on investigating or cataloging any information related to abortion, miscarriage, or other reproductive acts. We must show our citizens and the nation that we will not stand by as our rights continue to be chipped away. The hope here is that we show our legislative folks, whether it's folks at the state or the federal level, that we must do something. And I'm extremely honored to stand here with my colleagues, community organizers, individuals, making sure that we're connecting folks to safe access to abortion, health care, and standing here in solidarity to let folks know that we will protect San Antonio women and the right to health care. I'm honored to serve alongside Mayor Ron Nirenberg, who has also committed to ensuring that we protect access to health care for San Antonio residents. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Vanessa Martinez. I'm a board member of Lilith Fund, and I also serve as District 3's Commissioner on the Mayor's Commission on the Status of Women. And today I'm here speaking in support of the GRACE Act. Lilith Fund is one of the local abortion funds that has historically provided direct financial assistance to low-income communities in the central and southern regions of Texas, which includes San Antonio. Currently, we have had to pause direct funding of abortion after the Supreme Court decision due to the threat of criminalization that our majority people of color staff and board are facing, simply for helping people access abortion care. The San Antonio City Council must pass the GRACE Act to ensure that our local tax dollars are not used to criminalize people for their pregnancy outcomes. We know that abortion saves lives, both in cases of pregnancy complications and by making it possible for someone to determine their own future. Abortion is a necessary public good that not only helps someone shape their families at their own pace, but it also helps survivors of domestic and intimate partner violence escape life-threatening situations. Abortion bans are meant to isolate pregnant people and coerce them into carrying a pregnancy to term by not only making it legally impossible for them to access care, but also for targeting groups like Lilith Fund for helping folks when they need it the most. The GRACE Act is a life-saving measure that demonstrates San Antonio respects bodily autonomy and refuses to participate in the racist criminalization of healthcare. We at Lilith Fund hope that the City Council members of San Antonio join in Councilperson Castro's effort to prioritize the health and economic futures of pregnant San Antonians by supporting the GRACE Act. Thank you.
Good morning. First, I want to thank Councilmember Castillo for spearheading the resolution that we're announcing today. The rights of millions of Americans were rolled back by the recent Supreme Court decision in Roe v. Wade, which is an attack on the health and independence of women, of people of color, and the disadvantage across our city and across our country, and certainly here in the state of Texas. Communities that will disproportionately be impacted by draconian state laws limiting Americans' right to health care. Access to basic medical treatment, including abortion, is a human right. Criminalizing those who seek abortion will create a hostile and dangerous future for far too many. The resolution that my colleague has drafted with the Attorney's Office affords us an opportunity to emphasize our unwavering support for access to reproductive health care. We refuse to stand idly by and watch an important right be taken away without speaking on behalf of our constituents. This resolution will allow City Council to collectively, as a city, express our deep concern and stand with those San Antonio residents who will be unfairly burdened by state laws that take effect in the aftermath of the Supreme Court decision. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thank you to Councilwoman Castillo for taking the lead on this issue, and my colleagues and our mayor for being here and supporting this initiative. I'll get straight to the point. I support a special session of the City Council to consider a resolution that responds to the U.S. Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade. It's the right thing to do. Roe has framed women's lives for many generations. It's transformed society, the workplace. It gave women the options that we didn't have before. Roe guided women's health care, it set constitutional precedents, and it gave women the guarantee that we are and will be responsible for our own bodies and our own health. All of these things, health care, our constitutional rights as we knew them, and women's personal responsibilities have been overturned, uprooted, and shattered. So yes, we need to have a serious discussion about how this affects our city and how we should use city funds in light of a law that makes criminals out of women who seek health care. A law that puts half of the population under suspicion for taking responsibility for our own health. Let me put this in context. We're going to have this discussion with the backdrop of people from all across our city calling for increased police patrols. As chair of our Public Safety Committee, as a steward of our city funds, I can tell you that we shouldn't divert funds away from making our neighborhoods safe in order to police women. We shouldn't take resources from our prosecutors who come to work every day to make our city a safer place to live, work, grow businesses, and families. Let me be clear about something else. In Texas, we have a fundamental belief in individual responsibility. Because of this, I believe that city funds should not be used in any way to limit, remove, or co-opt a woman's responsibility for her own health, including her own reproductive options and bodily autonomy. I prefer that no one ever has to go through the harrowing and traumatizing experience of aborting a pregnancy. But city funds should not be used to remove women's fundamental rights, responsibilities, and personal decisions. This is a large and far-reaching issue. I have a friend, a close collaborator, who has been diagnosed with PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome. It's a life-threatening condition that has nothing to do with abortion. Her body can randomly form cysts that can threaten her life. And if a cyst indeed does form, the procedure that's needed to save her life would be considered a criminal act. Medical procedures regarding women's health are being questioned. In order to prevent that from happening, she takes contraceptive medication. There are now real and serious threats to remove contraception as a woman's rights. What is my friend, what are San Antonian women supposed to do? Is our city going to police her? Are we going to arrest her? She should be allowed to make life-saving decisions for herself. No one, not me or you or the city or the courts, have a right to impose our beliefs on her or to co-opt her personal responsibility. Bringing this item for special discussion, again, is the right thing to do. I'm sure we'll have differences about the wording or the intent of the resolution. We'll work those out. My intent is to have this discussion because it's the right thing to do for women and for our city. And as I look over at these young ladies that were here a second ago, some little girls, I remember that it's not just for me, it's not just for my daughter, but young women all over our city. Thank you again to Councilwoman Castillo.
Hello, my name is Phyllis Viagran. I'm the councilwoman for District 3, the south and the southeast side of San Antonio. I want to thank you for being here today. I want to thank my council colleagues, Councilwoman Castillo, who took the lead while many of us were mourning and disillusioned. She moved to action, and I'm so happy that she did and worked to bring a resolution that is puro San Antonio, as she would say. It's greatly appreciated, Councilwoman Castillo. Thank you very much. I want to thank my other councilwomen that reached out, Councilwoman Cabello Havrda, who is our chair of the Public Safety Committee, trying to understand how this impacts what we're trying to do and how we're trying to keep San Antonio safe. Councilwoman Adriana Rocha Garcia, my Southside sister, who we knew that this would negatively impact the south side of San Antonio and the health care that we are trying to achieve and the health equity we're trying to achieve in the southern sector. And Councilwoman Ana Sandoval, who is working from home, trying to manage a new baby and city council responsibilities. All their efforts, all their passion towards this topic. The city's attorney's office, we're working with the District 5 office, Councilwoman Castillo, Liz Provencio in particular, for her efforts. And those joining us today, our male allies, Mayor Ron Nirenberg, our DA, Joe Gonzalez, Councilman John Courage, and Councilman Mario Bravo, and our pastor, Andres. And you're going to hear from incredible women today, as you heard earlier, speaking on this issue. A city that is moving toward an equitable and inclusive goal needs to use their voice to support individuals and groups when they and their rights are threatened. And that is what is happening today. An individual's ability to determine what is necessary for their health and well-being is a right. And it's what we're trying to achieve here. The struggle for women and injustices they experience is a centuries-old struggle. The city did the Status of Women report in 2018, and it brought to light many inequities and concerns that this city needed to address. Moving this resolution forward, crafted by a councilwoman from the city of San Antonio, is the right thing to do. It is this resolution, and we will discuss terms and add language, needs to go to the full council, and we need to have the full council support. If we are going to continue the city's good work for a city that leads in diversity and equity and inclusion, we also need to hear the residents' voices that you want your council members to support this. So I appreciate all the emails and calls we've gotten so far. We look forward to getting more. Thank you.
My name is Andres Gutsia, and I'm the pastor of University Presbyterian Church and on the board of Texas Freedom Network. Just in case you're wondering what a pastor is doing here, I'm going to remind you that Jesus trusted women, and I invite you to be like Jesus. Thank you to Councilwoman Terry Castillo for your brave and compassionate leadership in stepping out and drafting a resolution to support the decriminalizations of abortions. As a pastor, I deeply appreciate your work because I intimately know the struggle of a woman who needs an abortion. Thank you for amplifying the voices of people of color indigenous peoples, marginalized and low-income peoples who are mostly affected by this ban. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for calling a special council meeting on August 2nd to hear this resolution and vote on it, and also for further and more cultivating a culture of compassion here in San Antonio. As a person of faith, I am in support of this resolution, as any criminalization of abortion is a threat to religious liberty and an affront to the moral agency of women and birthing people. Women and pregnant people are full moral agents, created in the image of God, and have the moral capacity to decide whether to continue or end any given pregnancy. No person should be prevented from receiving essential health care, and any attempt from any levels of government to reduce, limit, or eliminate access to contraceptive and abortion care is an abomination to the gospel. I therefore encourage our City Council to continue looking for ways locally to support an individual's decision to have an abortion and to abortion access. Please vote for this resolution, and in the days to come, do not let a small religious minority convince you any different than to vote for this resolution. As a Christian pastor who believes that abortion is an ethically and morally sound decision, I encourage all of San Antonio City Council to stand with Councilwoman Castillo and with our community, as that is actually what is at stake here. Our community. In the words of American poet and author Gwendolyn Brooks, we are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Joe Gonzalez, Bexar County District Attorney. As your district attorney, my job is to ensure the public safety of Bexar County, a population of 2 million people, through making just and right prosecution decisions. Underscore just. When Dobbs came out June 24th, I spoke out quickly and I spoke out strongly against Dobbs. Roe v. Wade was what I believe to be settled law for almost 15 years, and yet here we are today. We have lost Roe. Sarah Whittington, the lawyer who argued Roe, must be turning in her grave. What I have said before, and I'll say again today, there is no justice in the government intervening in a woman's right to choose, to make personal health care decisions about her body. There is no justice in criminalizing abortion and abortion care. There is no justice in investigating for the purpose of prosecution women who seek abortion or their abortion providers. I have also said I understand my oath. I understand that if law enforcement is going to investigate and file a case with our office, we have an obligation to review those cases, and we will. But then I reserve the right to use my to exercise my prosecutorial discretion and make decisions about whether or not to go forward with those cases. I'm here to clearly state that I am in support of this resolution, and I urge the rest of the City Council to vote and adopt this resolution. I'm here because I happily stand with my colleagues from the City of San Antonio in support of this resolution. It is important that both the leaders at the county level and the city work together to ensure the public safety of this community. Again, I say there is no justice in spending any tax dollars, in spending any time, and spending any effort in prosecuting these difficult decisions. Thank you very much for inviting me here today, and again, I strongly urge the passage of this resolution. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Marinela Murillo, Recording and Corresponding Secretary for the San Antonio AFL-CIO Central Labor Council. Our President, Tom Cummings, could not be here today, so I am honored to be here in his stead. And I am proud to serve, to be here for this very important press conference. I am here today to let the citizens of San Antonio and Bexar County know that the San Antonio AFL-CIO affirms the right of everyone to make their own health care decisions. We strongly believe everyone should have control over their own bodies, including decisions over their personal reproductive health care. The decision by the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade is a devastating blow to the working women and families of San Antonio, Bexar County, and the state of Texas. It stands to reason women will die because of this decision. At a time when we should be focused on expanding equity for all working people, this ruling has only deepened racial and economic disparities. The burden of this decision has fallen mainly on low-income women and gender-oppressed people, and no one should be forced into financial insecurity because they have been denied reproductive health care. This is just the latest in a harmful string of attacks on our fundamental rights, including the right to vote and to collectively bargain in the workplace, and points to an alarming trend that other well-settled rights like marriage equality and access to contraception may be taken away. The current conservative majority of the Supreme Court is bent on limiting bodily autonomy, freedom, and self-determination to a select few, and that, quite frankly, is fundamentally undemocratic. So unions across the country have begun strategizing ways to use the collective bargaining process to ensure access to reproductive health care. And America's unions remain committed to the fight for gender justice, economic equity, and health care access for all. That is why this fall's elections is so important. Every San Antonio and Bexar County voter needs to elect candidates who will defend workers' rights, including their right to health care and bodily autonomy. Many of them are standing here with us today. We can make it happen, but only if we stand together in solidarity. My union brothers and sisters of the San Antonio Central Labor Council, our esteemed council members who co-authored this resolution, our faith-based community, our advocates in the reproductive rights community, our own mayor of San Antonio, Ron Nirenberg, and all the supporters here today. We must do this together. Ladies and gentlemen, we are union strong. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me all right? Okay, so good morning. I'm Michaela Montoya Frazier. I am the founder and director of Buckle Bunnies Fund, a Texas-wide abortion fund. We would like to express our deepest gratitude to Councilwoman Castillo for her solidarity with abortion seekers and for inviting us to be a part of this moment. Abortion provider Willie Parker once said, "I want for patients what I want for myself. I want self-determination. I want health. I want the ability to contribute, and I want those things as a human being." This resolution recognizes the dignity and the humanity abortion patients, providers, and funds deserve. It has been 1 month since Roe was overturned, and every day since, I wake up in fear that my patients will be persecuted for wanting to end their pregnancies. I think about the 12-year-old in Dallas whose mother begged for our help. I think about the 45-year-old San Antonio woman whose boyfriend couldn't know that she was pregnant. I think about the asylum seeker at University Hospital with a medical condition too devastating to continue her pregnancy. I think about the young Leon Valley mother whose first time on a plane was because they couldn't have an abortion in Texas. I think about Rosie Jimenez, who died at 27 in McAllen from an unsafe abortion, which she only obtained because she could not afford a doctor. I think about the 14-year-old from Mission who is now a mother because she didn't have any other options. I think about them because there will always be more. I think about myself, the scared teenager whose family never even said the word abortion. But abortion is freedom, and abortion is a public good. San Antonio requires adequate access to reproductive health care in order to thrive. This resolution is the first step of restoring the faith we have for our futures. It has been 1 month since Roe was overturned, and today I woke up with hope. Thank you.
There is no justice in criminalizing women for seeking access to health care. I want to express my gratitude for our mayor for calling for a special meeting to allow City Council an opportunity to have a conversation about this resolution, as well as express my gratitude for my council colleagues who are here in solidarity with women in San Antonio and all across the United States whose rights are currently under attack, as well as the community organizers doing the work to ensure that they're raising funds to connect women to that access to health care, and to the district attorney for standing at the forefront and ensuring and letting San Antonio and Bexar County women know that they are going to be protected and that they are being heard. I also want to express my thanks to the Austin City Council members, Vanessa Fuentes and Chito, for leading this effort in Austin and letting folks all throughout Texas know that it is possible for us to put forward, take a step in that direction to let folks know that a better San Antonio, a better Texas, and a better United States is possible. Thank you.
So we've heard this called referred to as decriminalization, the GRACE Act today, but Austin's GRACE Act specifically deprioritized police action. So is this really equivalent to the GRACE Act, and why was that not included in this resolution?
When we look,
Yes.
Yes, when we look at the resolution language that is put forth, we're calling that we will not use city funds to collect any data or catalog to criminalize a woman, right? So when we look at collecting data and criminalization, that means enforcement. So essentially it is decriminalizing in that we will not be collecting data to criminalize women. Without the data collection, you cannot criminalize the woman, the individual seeking access to health care.
And as far as why police specifically deprioritizing police action wasn't in it?
Yeah, it's ensuring that, again, the language is in there, but it's not explicitly saying SAPD. However, right, we need to ensure, whether it's called the GRACE Act, whether it's called whatever you want, we need to ensure that women know that they are protected and they will not be criminalized in San Antonio.
Okay, so you're...
Say that again?
Are you saying that SAPD will not investigate?
With the city charter, the city council cannot direct the SAPD or the chief on which laws to enforce, but we can give a policy recommendation to not criminalize women.
Now, resolutions like this are all high profile, but they are also criticized for not having a lot of concrete action. So beyond showing the council's support for abortion access, what is the concrete effect that this will have on people who are seeking abortion?
Absolutely. We have plenty of work ahead, and this resolution is a step in that direction to ensure that we prioritize abortion access and health care with the upcoming legislative agenda.
So would the city be able to put anything on paper that would change the way the city processes? Because if you're passing the resolution, but what would the next steps be for something like this to having a team?
Yeah, I think on August 2nd, when we have council discussion, we'll learn from our city council colleagues on what direction and steps that we want to take moving forward.